Well, welcome to the latest edition of TABC Talks. If at the end of the presentation you have a question, use the raise hand function. To do this, click on the Participants button at the bottom of your Zoom window. When the Participants window pops up, click the raise hand button at the bottom. When I recognize you by saying your name, you can unmute your microphone and ask your question. Today's edition of TABC Talks will cover the upcoming product registration law changes. Hello, I am Andrea Macera, Deputy Director of Tax and Marketing Practices. The presentation will include new requirements which go into effect December 31st and September 1st, steps on how and when you need to register your product with TABC, and lastly, I will talk about the TTB allowable revisions to a label. Label approval is now called product registration. Product registration is required for nearly all alcoholic beverage products that are to be sold in the Texas market. Once a certificate of label approval has been issued, the public can find those under the public inquiry section on our website. Through the sunset process in the 2019 legislative session, there are many changes to product registration, mainly to malt beverages. House Bill 1545 eliminates the state label approval process for malt beverages and instead requires TABC to accept a valid certification of label approval, COLA, from the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau, TTB, for product registration. This requirement is new for in-state malt beverage manufacturers. Additionally, the bill authorizes TABC to deny label approval and registration for any product with a TTB COLA that violates state law. Furthermore, it eliminates the requirement for content testing for malt beverages as a condition of product registration. However, it does authorize TABC to continue testing to ensure public safety and truth in labeling. Chapter 45 of the Administrative Rules covers product registration and marketing practices. There was a comprehensive overhaul of Chapter 45. Subchapters A through C dealt with label approval and Subchapter D was marketing practices. As the most efficient way to execute the required overhaul was to repeal the existing subchapters and replace them with a new set of rules organized in a more intuitive and streamlined manner. Some rules did not require changes and have been migrated into the most logical place in the new rules subchapters. A stakeholder meeting was held and the commission adopted the changes on September 22nd commission meeting. These changes go into effect December 31st. To be consistent with other kinds of alcoholic beverages, all malt beverage product labels will be required to state the alcohol content. As long as another state does not prohibit a label from containing the alcohol beverage content, manufacturers could sell malt beverages with these labels in other states. This requirement is consistent with Beer to Go, requiring alcohol content on malt beverage containers. In addition, consumer transparency was cited as a concern. Consumers do not know the distinction between beer versus ale, and by stating the alcohol content, it allowed for consumers to know what percentage of alcohol they were consuming. As also discussed in issue 3 of the Sunset Report, TABC would no longer need to test the alcohol content of the malt beverage products to determine whether they are a beer or an ale before allowing them into the market, but could continue to spot check products as needed, such as for investigations or complaints. You'll hear more details on this later via the stakeholder process through rulemaking. As always, you will have multiple opportunities in the rulemaking process to make your comments and suggestions. Our rules attorney, Shana, is here today and is making note of any questions or comments so we can ensure that our draft rule addresses them as appropriate. You don't have to wait until the formal rulemaking process begins. If you'd like to provide your suggestions or make your concerns known to Shana, she's always happy to have that input as early as possible. Her email is shana.horton@tabc.texas.gov. This requirement will go into effect September 1 of 2021. A TTB Cola is now required for new malt beverage product registration. Step 1, you will need to get a cola from the TTB. This means malt beverage products that have not been previously registered with TABC will first need to obtain a TTB Cola starting December 31st. You can register online with TTB for formula approval and cola approval. Do this soon. Applications without a TTB Cola on or after December 31st will be withdrawn without refund. As of December 1st, processing times for TTB formulations were about 2 days. Formulations that require sample analysis were about 21 days, and processing times for a TTB Cola were between 3 to 7 days. Processing times can be found on their website and are updated daily. Next, once you have obtained your TTB Cola, you will apply for product registration with Texas. Only one TABC product registration application is required for each TTB Cola. Approval is a size range now, and you're no longer required to register each container size and type. This change of net contents is considered an allowable revision under the TTB. This change reduces the amount in fees paid by malt beverage applicants. Products that are not eligible for a TTB Cola will need to provide a copy of your product's TTB formulation with your TABC product registration application. Products typically not eligible for a TTB Cola are beers regulated by the Internal Revenue Code, or also known as IRC beers. Mostly seltzers, gluten-free beers, and etc. fall into this category, and wine under 7% alcohol by volume. Remember, in order to ship or sell products within Texas, you must receive a TABC Cola. Product registration applications shall be approved or denied no later than 30 days after TABC has received a complete application. An application is received only when all required information has been received. An incomplete application is not considered received. Be sure when submitting applications, you have submitted all the required documentation in order to receive your TABC Cola in a timely manner. The requirement to submit product registration does not apply to brewers, manufacturers, and brew pubs selling product on their premises to consumers for on or off-premise consumption. This is beer to go. Be sure to post in a conspicuous place the alcohol content in % by volume and write the product name and alcohol content on the container. These requirements were effective September 1 of 2019. Step 3, product revisions requiring re-registration with TABC. Products with current TABC label approval and existing TTB Cola on file with TABC will not be subject to TABC's new product registration process until a change occurs that requires issuance of a new TTB Cola. Products with current TABC label approval and no existing TTB Cola on file with TABC will not be subject to TABC's new product registration process until a label change occurs or until September 1, 2023. Lastly, products that have not been registered with TABC must receive a TTB Cola in order to register with TABC. TTB formulation is required for registering products with TABC that are not eligible to receive a TTB Cola. Once a label receives TTB and TABC registration, you can make certain changes to that label without obtaining a new TTB Cola or TABC Cola. If the change you make does not require a new TTB Cola, you do not need to re-register the product with TABC. Common changes that do not require a new TTB Cola would be change in label color, change in alcohol content, change of net content, repositioning of label information, or the addition of recycling information. Common changes that do require a new TTB Cola would be the addition of new graphics, pictures, or representation, addition in new wording, phrases, texts, or certifications, or change in brewing location. Rule of thumb is you can remove information in graphics, but you cannot add it. There are certain exceptions of these things you may add without reapplying, like recycling information, social media info, food pairing info, storage info, responsibility statement, etc. It's important you familiarize yourself with a list of allowable revisions. I encourage you to go to the TTB's website and familiarize yourself with these allowable revisions. I will now open it up for questions. Raise your hand and unmute yourself. Please introduce yourself and who will represent you and who you represent. Thank you. Well, I am not seeing, oh, here we go, sorry. Elizabeth.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, Elizabeth Hoover from New Belgium Brewing Company. I was just curious, I was trying to listen and take notes, but we in the past have always uploaded TTB approved colas. So it doesn't feel like a new thing.
It is not. This will not be a new thing for the out-of-state manufacturers. The one thing that will be impactful to you guys is starting September 1st of 2021, your labels being registered in Texas would be required to state the alcohol content. That it just depending on whether your labels have it already or not would be something that you would need to consider if they don't, starting September 2021.
Okay, great. Ours, because states vary, you know, requirements from state to state, we've always been good about putting our ABV on the label.
Yes.
So it should be good.
Yes, and there are also, because we are now following the TTB allowable revisions, that would be something that's a little different for registering the products in the state of Texas. You would only be doing it on the size range, and you wouldn't have to adhere to the strict guidelines that we had before.
Okay, so this really affects us as far as revisions go.
Correct.
And then, did you say we only need to register one size?
Depending, I know some manufacturers outside the state will register multiple sizes with the feds. We are knowing that some of those are within the allowable revisions of the net contents. So we're gonna work with you guys through that process. We're still trying to figure out procedurally how we will handle those. But there is now a size range versus before you had to register with Texas each size and container type.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I am unmuting Linda. Linda.
There we are.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, Linda with Rentschler Brewing. Like Elizabeth, I was busy taking a lot of notes and I missed a lot on the slides. Will you be making those available to us so that we can go back and review?
Yes, absolutely. And I believe these get posted to our YouTube channel as well for TABC Talks, so you can go back and watch the video again.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. I believe this is Christy with Hemisphere. I'm going to, well, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes, sorry, Christy with Hemisphere. I was trying to lower my hand because that was my question.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Well, I'm glad it was answered. Okay, I believe next is Bobby Mullins.
Hi, this is Bobby Mullins with Armadillo Brewing Company. My question is, in the past, it's been $25 fee per size for each label approval with the state of Texas. Is that $25 going to stay in effect?
So it is $25 for a size range now. So in the past, you paid $25 for each size and container type. Now that we follow the TTB's allowable revisions of net contents, you'll just be paying one $25 fee, and you will get a range in sizes for those products.
Okay, excellent. And then I had one more question.
Yes.
With the elimination of the ale and beer distinction, how does this affect the brewer's permit and manufacturer permit division?
So that's all part of the beer ale consolidation that will be happening September 1. There's going to be some more communications coming out from the agency on how does that affect you in your permits. And then as well as we encourage you to follow us through the stakeholder process on the beer and ale consolidation, how it affects label approval. So that information is coming.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have Connor.
Hello, Connor Gilfillan with Meanwhile Brewing. I know with the TTB, it looks like the lead times are about 2 days currently. Will this affect lead times with TABC label approval, or do we expect them to go up or go down? Or how will that look different from what we're currently at the current lead times on TABC label approval?
Yes, so we constantly strive to make sure that we are processing these applications in a timely manner. So you should expect and anticipate a decrease in days, but right now we're working through some backlogs, but I do not foresee that it would be as fast as the feds within 2 days though. So, but yes, you should start to see a decrease. Now, this will only happen if we start having more applications received that don't hold correction. So we encourage you, if you have any questions up front before you file your or register your product with us, you always can contact us at label.approval@tabc.texas.gov and talk with one of our compliance analysts to ensure that you have all your complete information. So once it does get submitted, it doesn't require correction letters, and we can issue that COLA in a timely manner.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Caleb.
Hi, I'm Caleb West with Pondaseta Brewing Co. I guess I have 2 questions real quick. Does anything change as of now in regards to our monthly reporting for brew pubs?
There is no changes to how you will be reporting as a brew pub.
Okay, so will there be any changes in the future in regards to the ale and beer consolidation?
So right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the brew pubs file their ale and beer on the same report. So there will probably be some changes. There will be some changes to those reports to combine it to just be reporting the beer, but you won't be. So there'll be some modifications to that report itself for the brew pubs. For the guys who hold the brewer's permit and the manufacturer's license, you will be transitioning to what's called a brewer's license. And so you'll just be filling out one report.
Okay, thank you. My second question was, Do you foresee any situations where something might receive a TTB Cola but not a product approval for TABC?
So if the label that was submitted that had the TTB Cola and it violated state law, there would be a possibility that the label would be denied. Those things would be still listing their, it's prohibited to list a retailer's name, trade name, or logo. That's still prohibition still applies.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I think we have Randy next.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi, this is Randy from Dorchel Distilling and Brewing. My question is a little bit on the perimeter of the topic, but I was wondering if the licensing fees have been set yet for the combined license that goes into effect September of 21.
I do not have an answer to that. That isn't something that I have not been working on.
I can address that, Andrea.
Oh,
This
thank you.
is Shayna, the rules attorney, and I can tell you that that process is underway, but those fees have not been set. So of course, it's a full rulemaking process, and you will all be included in that when it begins.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you, Shayna. Well, those are great questions. Since I don't see any more hands raised, we can go ahead and conclude. If you find that you have a question after absorbing all this information, feel free to send an email to stakeholder@tabc.texas.gov, or you can always reach out to Label Approval as well if you have any questions regarding the process moving forward. Oops, I see Wim, you have a hand raised. Okay. Go ahead, Wim.
Sorry to jump in last minute. Wim Benz, Liquid Brewing Company. If we have labels that we are trying to get approved within the next month, what would be the best way to go about it, since it's sort of over the transition period? Should we just submit as we have been in the past, or should we go through TTB, since that's the way that it's going to be in the future?
I would encourage you to go to the TTB as soon as possible, but any applications received before the 31st will fall under the old regulations. But just know that if you make any changes to those labels that are not part of what we've discussed, as whether it's an allowable revision, or you might have to refile in 3 years. So just keep that in mind. Okay, well, I want to thank everyone for your participation. These were wonderful, great questions. Like I said, if you later on start to digest some of what we have talked about and it raises additional questions or new questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. All right, thank you so much.